the face of a parent or someone that you really adore. Maybe that'll put us in the proper frame of mind. I only have one announcement, and that is that immediately following this is a performance class, and it's open to anybody who doesn't have anything to do. They'll be performing their first scenes today. So if you have time, audiences always help first scenes. I want to talk with you a bit more than I usually do about Shakuntala, because it's much different from anything that we've presented so far. It's the drama in India. It's written somewhere between 400 and 500. And it has remained the outstanding, the premier Sanskrit drama of the country. It's revered in India today as we revere plays like Macbeth or Hamlet or Oedipus Rex. Every school child knows the story of Shakuntala. It's regularly performed by amateurs, by professional touring companies. It tours all of the countries, and it's been doing that for centuries. So it has an act structure, the traditional Indian act structure of 7 acts and 60 characters. So we're not going to do the whole show today. We're actually going to do a small part of it. But it's very hard to direct this, and it's very hard to perform this. So that's the reason it's a short section, but it took a long time to put together. This stars Jose Lopez, Sonia Patel, and Suzanne D'Souza, who has one very important line. She's the production assistant. Shakuntala was written by Kalidasa. Now, he was reported to be the greatest poet that ever existed in India in Sanskrit drama. He was Brahminian, and he was an orphan, and supposedly raised by an ox cart driver. I'm not sure exactly how that works. But he possessed extraordinary grace and beauty, and he could write like no tomorrow. He is one of India's 9 jewels, and that's too long to explain, but there were 9 really revered things, and he was one of them. He was the official poet of the court at his time. He is, or was, the Indian Shakespeare, or with the time reversal, maybe Shakespeare is the English Kalidasa. This play is based on the Indian epic, the Mahabharata. It's very familiar to Western audiences, even though they may not know the Mahabharata. It resonates with some kinds of mythic bells because it's romantic. It's about romance. You see it echoed in Shakespeare's The Tempest. You see it in the Arthurian's legends. And that is, there's a ruler who, through circumstances, makes poor choices. He learns from those choices. And this was unheard of in India. Kings were close to God. They didn't make mistakes. But Dushyant made a mistake, and he learned from it, and he became a better person for it. Now, this isn't like tragedy, because in tragedy, people make the tragic mistake, they learn from it, and then they die. They never become better people. But he had a chance then to become a better person. There's usually a virginal heroine in these plays, and that is Shakuntala. Now, scholars always argue about, is she blameless, is she not blameless? Well, we'll talk about that in a minute, but my own opinion is, yeah, she's pretty much a pawn, pretty much used by the fates and the king and so on and so forth. She's central to the action. She is innately good, and so she triumphs. Shakuntala and the king are ultimately lifted to what, there's a critic by the name of Northrop Frye, and he calls this the higher world. They're lifted from the green world of learning to the higher world of understanding and knowledge. let's look at the play for a minute so that you know what in the world's going on out here. Dunsana, as we said, was the king, and he is all-powerful. He meets Shakuntala. He's seen her. And she is not of royal blood, and so she is very regulated by the regulations of the country of what a woman may do and what a woman may not do and so on. And she's very attracted to him, but he scares her to death. She lives in the green world, as I said, that romanticists so love. Now, Dunsana falls immediately in love with her. You do that all the time, I'm sure. I do too. And he prepares to take her to court and marry her. And in preparation for this, he gives her a ring. Well, there's a sage who is left out of all of these things. And a sage is a very wise person, and he's like a soothsayer or an advisor. And he's jealous. And so he curses the wedding. On the way, the ring is lost. She arrives, and Dunsana says he's not sure that she actually is who she says she is, because she doesn't have the ring. She doesn't have the talisman. And so he denies her, turns her away, and it breaks her heart. The gods, of course, intervene and produce the lost ring, and Dunsana learns that he was judgmental. He spoke too soon. He broke her heart. But the marriage ensues, and they're both better people for it. So the play traces, in terms of Hinduism, a spiritual journey in which unenlightened humans are led to sacred knowledge by the gods. The play is very highly structured, and it is based on the religion. It's based on rituals, and it mirrors the life cycle. As with most drama, Sanskrit drama evolved from religious rituals. Now, Western writers and Western audiences have a tendency to see the world in terms of its polarities. But in the Indian Hindu mind, this good and bad, evil and redemption actually is in one part. It's in one form. And it's not opposing. It's something that you struggle to reconcile these things. They're necessary. You learn from the bad. If you didn't have the bad, you couldn't go through becoming better. You have to have these temptations to withstand and make mistakes and grow and become a better person. So Dunsana's failures, as well as his triumphs, combine to make this whole person. And this whole notion of good and bad and combining the impossible with the possible becomes akin to what Einstein did with the probable improbabilities and the possible, the impossible possibilities. Newtonian physics would say, what? Light is a particle and a ray? That's impossible. But it is. And so Hinduism says much more toward accept these things.